Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Run. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual. Bridge MCP, welcome aboard. Paul Fleming out of Atlanta, welcome aboard. Bridge MCP out of, New York, welcome aboard. Julie Van Osdol out of Minnesota, Lakeville, Minnesota. Welcome aboard to all my peeps. We are going to have a great show for you today. Of course, we have one of my good friends, an environmentalist out of Austin, Texas, that is busting his butt to get things done out there to make sure we protect, do what we do best, what's best for everybody, not just for a distinct few. So, folks, let's get busy with starting to have a good program for you today, because that is what, again, that is what we do. Anyway, folks, let's go ahead and get started. Look. Today, Jessica Taylor, good afternoon. How are you doing? Egberto, new specs. Oh, you like the new color? I'm not sure if I like the color. I don't know how it goes with the screen and all of that, but this is the new, this is our purple version of the t-shirts that we have here. So yeah, I guess I have a new one on. Anyhow, folks, check this out. Check this out. I want you to see, let's go ahead and get the program started first, and then we'll go ahead and get busy. If I can actually get to the page, we can actually get started. Oh, you mean the glasses? I wear glasses, but I kind of take it off a lot of times because of, that shiny thing that comes on with the lighting. I have to do something with the lighting to fix that. But we'll see. Eventually, I'll probably take it off when I start reading. Anyhow. Para ver. Here we go. Title of the show today is Biden Clarifies CDC Scientists. Of course, Bridge MCPC. Yes, he did that, but everybody's going to see on TV that he stumbled. I've got to come back for that. Environmentalist Danny Fetonte, good friend of mine, calls out a Texas coal ash fiasco. So, Joe Biden excels at CDC. Environmentalist Danny Fetonte tackles coal burning plants, and most Americans want insurrectionists taken care of. From this article, I want to point out an article here because, a lot of people just think we are going to allow this stuff to go. And of course, I don't have the article on the screen. Let me see if I can go to exactly where I got the article, because apparently I broke the link. This is what's live. I just got ready right about the time that I needed to come on air because I was processing El Señor Fetonte's video. But let's see if I can find that. It's about the insurrectionists most poll. There we go. That's the article I wanted to reference. The article says, poll, large majority see prosecution of insurrection rioters as very important. Pew surveys show both Democrats and Republicans see prosecution as at least somewhat important. And why is it important? We have to make sure that anybody who thinks they have the gall to attack our government again know that likely they're going to spend a very, very long time in jail. They're going to be penalized. They're going to be prosecuted. We're going to make an example out of them. Absolutely so. We are going to make sure that their life is never the same again. If you attempt to overthrow the government of the United States, you better succeed, because otherwise you're going to pay. And I want to remind people, however, welcome aboard Curtis Jacobs, hermano mío. CDC is going to take care of its business. Yes, it is. Tom C. from New York. Tom C. from Michigan. Welcome aboard. Egberto, let's see, it includes all government attacks too, and agree. Of course. Of course, you shouldn't attack the government. Now, don't mistake protest with an insurrection. Those guys went with bombs. Those guys, they're pipe bombs. They went with spray it was a real insurrection. Don't let anybody try to change it. Why is it that people are trying so hard to change it? I'm going to explain why. This is the reason. I spoke to you guys about it yesterday. The reason why you see a lot of the Republican politicians attempting to whitewash the insurrection is because they understand that come 2022, they have lost all of their real talking points. They have lost the patriotic talking point. They have lost the social justice talking point. They have lost the criminal justice talking point. And they've lost the we stand for justice, we stand for law and order talking point. If the insurrection remains the insurrection effected by those who supported Donald Trump, they've lost those narratives that we ought to pick up and put in ads, not only about the insurrection, but about them not voting a penny for every single American, or for 85% of Americans. They denied access to a stimulus, a necessary stimulus, to millions of Americans. They said no. They also to remove kids out of poverty. They also said no to feed the starving. They also said no to allow your police officers to remain employed to keep you protected. They also said no to your fire department, who need the funds, given that the tax base for many areas would have been lowered. They said no to all of that, not because they understood it wasn't needed. They would say because a recovery was coming. No. They would give you many reasons why they believe that they shouldn't do these things. But you ought to know your talking points well. Let everyone know that had it not been for Democrats controlling the Senate, you would have had less police officers. You would have had less firemen. You would have had less food for the starving people in your states. You would have had less money circulating in your state. Mitch McConnell's state has 4.4 million people. Of those 4.4 million people, 4 million will receive funds from this bill. I repeat, a state with 4.4 million people, Mitch McConnell's Kentucky, 4 million people will get physical payments and support from the American Rescue Plan. And he said no. He's not running in 2022. But it's important that everybody here tell their Republican brothers and sisters, absent having a Democratic Senate, a Democratic President, and a Democratic House, you would not have had the recovery we are about to engage on. These are not questions. You don't have to argue about these issues when you're talking to your relatives. You don't need to get into a discussion. You just need to say, show them the votes. This is a bill. This is what the bill does. You have the money in your checking account. You also see your friends who were on food stamps that lost it continue to get it. You also see your relatives in Appalachia now get support for their addictions, now get support for their kids who are living in the trailer parks. My daughter went through these areas and she couldn't believe what she saw in the Appalachian areas of Ohio, West Virginia, and these other places. Good people just misled by a destructive right-wing media that, as I've shown you several times, their sole method of fame is lying to people who have put their trust in them. And what you have to do, brothers and sisters that are listening to me, other than sharing this and moving this along, is letting your folks understand that they've been lied to, but you don't have to get into a fight about it. Just let them know. These are the votes of the Republicans. These are the votes of the Democrats. And this is what you have in your checking account. This is what your kids have. A meal they didn't have before. That is all we got to do. And the next thing, I want you to add one other thing to the narrative. I want you to remember to tell your right-wing brothers and sisters, your Republican brothers and sisters, that when they go into that voting booth, they don't have to tell anybody who they voted for. They don't. Just tell them, vote their pocketbook. Vote the interest of their family. Vote these issues. And if you want to come out of that thing and said, I voted a straight Republican ticket, feel free to do so. Feel free to do so. In other words, what I'm telling folks is this. It is time for us to be smart voters. You know, actually the politicians lie to you all the time. Republicans come into your community and say, I am going to save your job. I'm going to do this. As they go make a deal with the corporations and cause you your job. And get your jobs offshore. You know. So let's get smart, people. Let's get very, very smart. And give your people the option. But anyhow, President Biden went out to the CDC today, and I thought he had a pretty darn good performance. And you know, a lot of people like to, there are all these memes going around the internet that says, oh, the president is losing it, the president has dementia, the president is whatever. Look, what we have is a president that is fairly old, like Ronald Reagan was old. We also have a president. Well, let me go ahead and play this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Today, something interesting happened, but before, let me give some context. All over Twitter with Candace Owen and a lot of the right-wing hacks, they like to talk about Biden having dementia or Biden being whatever, you know. But, you know, there is a little snippet that occurred at the CDC today that proves the guy's mind is working just fine. Let me be honest. In the primary, I wanted a younger person. I was being ageist because I know the stress of the job and also some of the hang-ups I thought that Biden would have brought with his age when it comes to social things, ideology, etc. So I must cop to, at some time, being sort of ageist but respectful. What they're doing on the right to make it seem like this guy is not collective intellectually, something that none of us who criticized him on the left ever said. I think he kind of proved that he's alert on this one. Now check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
This particular variant is resistant against one of our monoclonals, one of our drugs that we're using for therapeutics to treat. So right now we're discussing within the U.S. government, big U.S. government,
make it clear it's the therapeutics, not the vaccine.
Correct.
Because these guys are picking that up. So
yeah, that's right. So it's a drug. It's a drug. It's a drug that's used, you know, early, but even before you go into a hospital, one of these drugs that kind of prevent hospitalization or might prevent death.
Please understand, I wasn't correcting you. I just know from experience that.
No, thank you.
They conflate it.
Yeah.
No, thank you very much.
Man, it shows the president was working on two angles, understanding that you have to pretty much make things clear for that press that is looking for anything to catch you on. And secondly, to be aware that to clarify exactly what the guy is saying, knowing that many times the press gets it wrong when when interpreting some of these science issues. So those of you who think the man has dementia, those of you who think the man is not alert or is aloof or whatever, I think he proved an important point there. Look, some folks are going to jump to other issues. The guy, I think, has done very well thus far, proven himself. We may have some disagreements on the filibuster, etc. We just have to fight that through and make him do what we as progressives need him to do for the entire country. All right, Eric says, How do you know he doesn't have issues? Are you his doctor? How do you know he has issues? Are you his doctor? I mean, all the right wing have been using, they've been creating memes, they've been taking big shots or whatever. Today, he's going up the stairs and he fell. And, when he fell, you could see that he panicked because he didn't fall. He missed the step, something we all do. He missed the step. And he sort of went down, and instead of saying, oops, I went down, and get up slowly and walked up, he wanted to show stamina. You see, because the guy knows he's an older guy. He knows everybody is watching him. And so he gets shocked as I went ahead and I blew it up where he fell. He missed the step. He went down. He's about to get up, and he's so in a hurry to keep on his stride, he missed it twice again. I thought it was funny, right? Because all of us do that. But when it's him that does it, some people are going to say, you see, the funny thing about it is, all I have to remind folks, most of the younger folks in their 30s won't know this, but remember Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford was one of our biggest presidential klutz there were. And I don't think anybody would think Gerald Ford, whatever. So, anyhow, I was happy to see that the way that our president reacted at the CDC, because it didn't only show that he was listening to what was occurring, it also showed that he was debriefed. He was not debriefed, that he was briefed. Because what happens is, normally you go to these places because somebody like Trump never read anything. So when this guy is talking, Trump is just going to say, and if he wants to say something, he'll just make something up. He'll make something pull it out of this, where. But anyhow, it is funny. Yeah, Eric, he'll make it on Saturday Night Live, and I'll watch it, and I'll laugh because I think it was kind of funny too. But this is a guy on a bike. He's in good shape. He is slim. He's not obese like, let's say, President Trump was. And so, look, let's get some context here. What the guy did show his intelligence. The guy made his 100th day. He said within 100 days, we'll have 100 arms and vaccinated. He did it in 52 days. We have a lot of things under control that Donald Trump simply was not competent enough to do. So kudos to the president, who was not my first choice. Bernie Sanders, of course, was my first choice. I think we need a very progressive president. But so far, we are getting a very good job out of El Senor Biden. And I want to thank Biden very much for that bill, because a lot of people are being helped. Welcome to our posse, Petty Wagner. Welcome to our posse. Hey, Bridge, you have to give her a welcome party, Bridge. No, I tell you what, we very much love our posse, because you guys are the ones who allow this program to survive. Look, I couldn't do this. I want to tell you this straight up, folks. I couldn't do this without our posse. I couldn't do this without all the people that are providing us the support that you provide. Because if it weren't for you, something else would have to get done. So what I want to do real quick is, you know me, I like to salute as quickly as possible those people who made it into the posse, right? So what I'm going to do is put it on the screen. There we go. Patty Wagner, welcome to our posse, and your bar is on the screen right now. Thank you for being a supporter of independent media. We simply could not do it without you. And if anybody else wants to join Patty Wagner, please go ahead and click that join button on your YouTube channel. If you're on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, you can click that button on the YouTube channel that says join. If you're on Facebook Live or elsewhere, you can go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. And just like I put our good friend Patty Wagner's card on the screen, I'll put yours on the screen as well. Thank you very much, Patty Wagner. By the way, since I put Patty on the screen already, I need to play the interview I did with Fetonte, great environmentalist. But let me go ahead and do our beg first and ask you, hey, listen, my friends, click on the join button if you like what you see, if you're going to help us put the progressive message out there. Or you can go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube. Alternatively, you can become a Patreon of ours. How do you become a patron? Click politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. Patreon. Politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Or you can go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. That is how you support us via PayPal. We love PayPal as well. Or you can go ahead and get our book. My book is called It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. I just placed that link to the Amazon there. But if you want to get a bumper sticker and my signature in the book and any book that I sell, which, I actually have several books out, and I'm working on my fourth book right now. politicsdoneright.com/store. You get all things like our t-shirts, all different colors, etc. Everything that we have. By the way, if you're on YouTube, you can also get it on YouTube. Anyhow, so thank you I forgot the mug. Thank you for reminding me about the mug. Let's put the mug on the screen. There is the mug designed by Bridge MCP, who just wrote that message. Join our PDR posse and buy our mug. She's absolutely right. Thank you. What would we do without our great old Bridge MCP? And let me put the link to the mug there, Bridge. Thank you for reminding me. I couldn't have done this without you. Here is the link to the mug. There is the link to the mug, Bridge MCP. There is the link to the mug. And you can see the mug on the screen. You can see Linda E. on the screen who got the mug. We have Roberto Lewis who bought the mug as well. We also have Norman Reynolds who bought the mug and several others. So let's put one more time. Patty Wagner, thank you so kindly. All right, let's get busy. Let's go ahead and get El Señor Fetonte, I was going to say. Anytime I get the name, I have to stop a little bit because, it's Spanish. I speak Spanish and I use it that way. No purple t-shirt at the store yet. Actually, the purple t-shirt may be at the store on the YouTube channel and not my store. I got to look into that. I didn't realize there wasn't a purple at my store. Okay, but at the YouTube store, there is a purple t-shirt. Okay, let's go ahead and talk to Danny Fetonte. This is a great guy. Listen to it because this doesn't only apply here in Texas. This applies throughout the country. Think about everything that you hear Danny says about this power plant, this coal-burning power plant. Every single thing he says about it applies in your state, applies in your county. So please listen attentively and join the fold. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Today, I have a very special guest, somebody that goes back a long time with me. Actually, he brought me into several of his own domains. We are here with Danny Fetonte, who is a chair of the Fayette 350 Committee, an environmental group. They are in the process of pressing Austin and other areas to put a coal power plant on ice because it is, put it bluntly, killing people. Anyhow, welcome to Politics Done Right, Danny. How are you doing today?
Very good, Egberto, and thank you for having me. To start off, the Fayette Coal Power Plant, it's located in LaGrange, Texas. It's jointly owned by the Lower Colorado River Authority and the City of Austin. And it produces something called coal ash, which is when you burn coal to move the generators. It produces coal ash every single day. And that coal ash is made up of toxins, mercury, lead, arsenic, and chromium. The way they dispose of that chromium is they have been digging 48-foot deep pits and piling it in there. It used to be 44-foot pits, but they got a permit to go down to 48. They thinly line it with clay, which either contracts or expands depending on the level of moisture in the ground, and then cracks develop, and the poisons leach down into the water table. So what is going on in the groundwater, which people are drinking, is they're taking in this toxins. So LaGrange has a block where every single house has somebody with cancer on it. The lead that is being absorbed by people is absorbed 4 times faster by kids than by adults. And lead is particularly dangerous to kids because it retards the development of kids, both physically and mentally. And so it's holding people back, and it's very hard to detect. So when you're looking for lead poisoning, none of the poison shows up in the bloodstream where you take the blood for the first 4 years. It has to build up a certain level of toxicity. But the whole period that you're during that 4 years, it's doing damage to your body. So the problem that we have is the LCRA board is all appointed by Governor Abbott. It used to be, when we started the work, some of them were appointed by Governor Perry. And they have, we've been actively working on this for about 5 years, testified at LCRA boards, testified at Austin City Council meetings and committees. And it's not taken seriously by any of them. They look at it as a cost of doing business, that you do business. The people who handle the coal ash at the plant are not given protective gear. So there's what they found is just even handling this stuff in North Carolina and Tennessee, the environmental movement is advocating that people wear hazmat uniforms, which are uniforms that protects the people. None of that's going on here at this Fayette plant.
Now, this ash, a lot of people don't realize the ash has a whole lot of stuff, heavy metals in there. It has mercury. It has quite a few others in there that actually can get into your body. And mercury, for one, is a I think affects your nerves and some other parts. So, I mean, this is really serious stuff.
It's extremely serious. And when we've tried to deal with people, there's a lack of urgency on most people's part, a total lack of urgency. We've gone around the block with Austin Energy on this, on these questions, and they've come up with one excuse after another. They came up with an excuse that the water table was being monitored by the Environmental Integrity Project. Well, if you go and check on the Environmental Integrity Project, you find that they are monitoring it, and they're finding that there's all this toxic material in the water. They leave that out in their written response. They say they're being monitored, but they don't say what the monitors are finding. What we found was in every county in Texas, there's a division of the health department that has a group that goes out and tests for lead because it's so dangerous. Once a year in every county, they test the water. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we don't know this for a fact, but we're assuming it was Abbott, something came down that said that the 9 LCRA counties would no longer be tested by the state health department for lead, that LCRA would do that themselves. It's sort of like Boeing inspecting their own planes.
Right.
And one of the workers that were told not to do any testing in these counties, which Fayette County and Colorado County and Bastrop County were included, they asked the higher ups, why can't we do the test? They said, well, there's a lot of sensitivity going on, and if people find any lead in their water, they get very upset.
We're not going to
test for lead anymore. And their solution was just not to test for lead.
Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Does that sound familiar with our current epidemic or pandemic?
Yeah. If you don't like the epidemic, just don't test for it.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Now, look, let's get serious here. The way that I read the website, and the way they are disposing of this ash is they put a layer of clay, then they put the ash on. My question to you, if I remember my physics class, my physics and materials class correctly,
Right.
I don't think that clay is going to filter mercury molecules from getting into the water table. And if I understand the maps that I see correctly, it seems to me like we could get seepage into the Austin aquifer, which is the Edwards aquifer, and several of these other aquifers in the vicinity. And given that there is some connectivity with all these different aquifers, eventually this one plant can throw a whole lot of crap in a whole lot of areas within this aquifer as that stuff migrates. Am I correct?
Mostly you are. The Austin aquifer is separated between the Fayette by two different
Hill ranges?
Ranges of rock. Now,
Right.
the only thing that is going on, though, is there's been so much fracking where there's drills down into these rock formations, there's cracks developing. And what we don't have proof of it. What we suspect is that water is migrating from one water table to the other. But at this point, the city of Austin, which owns part of the plant, is relatively protected. Austin has many different economies, but it's generally much better off economically than the counties that are directly affected, like Fayette County, Colorado County, Caldwell County. Also, the Austin County is Travis County, where Austin is much whiter than the other counties.
Right.
So there doesn't seem to be an urgency if more people who work for a living get the poison, as long as Austin is protected.
It's interesting, Danny, because what it also says is when we talk about monitoring these different aquifers, etc., what we're also not saying is if we're monitoring and we found it has lead or mercury or whatever, by then it's too late. It's in the aquifer.
That's exactly right.
The reality should be there should be experimentations going on to see if our level of mitigation prevents flow of mercury in there. And I think what they're going to find is no, it doesn't do that. And therefore we have to find, if we're going to keep burning that coal, we have to find some way of not having all those heavy metals leaching themselves into the table, right?
Right. The Obama administration, the Environmental Protection Agency under Obama, was so concerned they were citing this plant again and again for the bad disposals of the coal ash, and they started fining them. The heaviest fines were done about 4 or 5 months before Trump took office. When Trump took office, he negated all the fines and wiped out all the citations. So if you go in, and I did an open records request to LCRA asking for all copies of all the citations, they said we don't have any. They don't.
Because it's gone.
They're gone, and in all the government records, they're just gone. And we're trying to meet with right now with Congress folks to ask them to put pressure on EPA to go back into this plant. But at this point, it's not on the horizon because there's no record of all of the violations that they've had.
Well, Danny, there are no open records. Shouldn't there be a database of everything that was thrown out as well? Or are you trying to tell me they killed it all?
We can't find it.
Okay.
Now, it might be that our technological skills are not that great, but we haven't been able to find it. The the Trump administration not only got rid of all of them in the last 3 or 4 months of his administration, he also put together a procedure which allows Texas to handle all their environmental issues themselves. So the Biden administration has to change that before they can even try to regulate the environment here. So the whole problem of dealing with it by just getting the so-called officials to start to deal with it is very, very difficult. What we've done is we're doing what's called a email storm towards the city council. We've met with 4 of the city council people directly, individually. And we've met with the staff of 3 others to try to go through this and asking them to start taking serious issues. What we've been faced with actually a couple of exceptions, is they've quoted us things from Austin Energy's lawyers that say that there's legal restrictions on how Austin can play. Evidently, the legal department of Austin Energy, which handles all of their energy questions, signed all these agreements with LCRA, which gives LCRA total executive power to make all decisions. So they're saying it's not in our hands, even though we own 50% of all of the property where the coal ash is stored and 30% ownership of the turbines. They say we don't have any say on it, which in the last couple of meetings with city council individuals, we said, this is not going to be handled through a lawsuit. This has to be handled politically, where the city council members who know what's right and know what's wrong stand up and raise it. We have to cause a political stink that says that kids in Central Texas should not be being poisoned so that we can be comfortable.
Now, many times what they take advantage of is the naivete of the people in a particular area. Now, do these people, are you, your organization, engaging those people to let them know, well, the reason this entire street, every home has cancer in this home is likely because of this? Do you guys have an information campaign going through these areas so that these people know that the causality of what's going on with them at all?
Yes and no. Mm-hmm. We met with people in that community who are very reluctant to trust Austin environmentalists.
Right.
And the reason is 5,000 of them got involved about 6 years ago with another environmental group, and they did all sorts of stuff. And then the environmental group signed a agreement with the city of Austin officials and basically walked away from the campaign without ever consulting with the people in Fayette County, without ever demanding cleanup of the coal ash. They got a commitment that at some point people would try to close the 2 halves of the turbines, but nothing on the cleanup. And there was very active people in that community who were standing up. There was small business people who have drilling operations for water. There was small business people who had pecan tree forests. There was ranchers. All sorts of people got involved in this. A number of years back, a bunch of the people from Fayette County who couldn't, one gentleman used to sell their pecans for $400,000 a year. And after all of this, the seepage got involved. He couldn't produce any pecans. So they went and bought pecans at the HEB and then made pecan pies and delivered them to the city of Austin to tell them what was going on. So there is some tension. We have good contacts with a number of people in Fayette County. The plant has the plant management has exerted a tremendous amount of pressure on the local government officials, saying that this is it is the largest employer in Fayette County. It's
How many people does it employ?
165.
Okay.
And in Fayette County, that's a lot. And so they've tried to say that the Austin environmentalists are trying to jeopardize people's jobs. So our 3-part program that we're doing is, one, the first thing is to begin the cleanup and stop more poisoning. So take all of the coal ash, put it into coal bins, whether it's the coal ash that is produced each day or the coal ash that is buried. That process, if anything, will create more jobs, the cleanup. Right. The second thing is to begin the process of developing a solar farm. There's 6,000 acres there, and you could be able to develop solar power and gradually increase the solar and decrease the amount of carbon.
Right.
Electricity. It's sold for the same amount of money.
Right.
The solar, the plant generates $30 million a year for the city of Austin, which is we've run into as one of the factors of them being uncomfortable in dealing with it, because the city of Austin's budget is about a little bit over $1 billion. We have developed a committee in Bastrop County, which is a county next to it, who was not involved with getting betrayed by another organization. And we have contacts in about 5 of the LCRA counties, which we've been doing some work on. The problem that they're facing is, if the city of Austin, which makes up the majority of the people in LCRA, is not raising any cane, then it's hard for us to excite local politicians in these smaller counties that they think they can do some stuff. So we're really putting pressure on the city council. All of the people who work there that are displaced are given jobs in either the city of Austin or other LCRA facilities. So there is electricians and all sorts of skilled workers that could move in over a period of time into the good paying jobs in those 2 facilities.
As you just explained, Danny, you not only are you guys wanting to solve that issue with the mercury seeping into the water, the lead seeping into the water, but you've also given a practical solution that people are not just out of jobs or something happened. It's just right. People have to have the will to do it. It seems to me like this is an issue with the hundreds of coal power plants that we have around the country, with the ash that's left at these plants throughout the country. It seems like there's a hell of a big job to get done to make sure that because we're leaving coal. That's a certainty. We're leaving coal, but what we leave behind, abandoned generators, abandoned coal ash, all those things present a problem, a huge environmental problem. And unless we have environmentalists like yourself working on that, keeping the pressure on, given that you and I know that most of these ash plants, etc., or ash bins or whatever, are in areas of poor areas, etc., we are relegating all those people to illness, sickness, poverty, loss of mental capacity, and all those issues, absent the kind of work that you're doing. So, I mean, the work that you're doing is very important, as we've always known, Danny. To close this, I want you to tell me something that I should have asked you that I didn't, that you want our audience to know.
Well, something on the last thing that you just said, there is some serious work being done by one of the University of North Carolina on dealing with the cleanup. And what they've developed is a way to take coal ash and put it in cement in a certain way where it stays.
Okay.
and trying to find other ways to use it. But the amount of coal ash across the country is extremely high. The deposits of it are all over the place in Tennessee, in North Carolina, in West Virginia, where people depended on coal. The other thing is that solar is cheaper to produce electricity with solar than coal. So there's a humanitarian factor, and that really should be the primary thing. But there's also economic factors working against these coal plants. But it is, and I think that one of the things that has bothered us a lot is the city council in Austin has declared a climate emergency and then did nothing on this. Did absolutely nothing. And they made speeches that they were for the environment and supporting the working around climate change. And then it's sort of like a proposal or a proposition is gonna solve a kid who's been drinking lead-laced water. And the environmental community in Austin really has to step up and push against the city of Austin. And the city of Austin, there's a couple of city council members there who have actually started to try to figure out a way to work with us on this.
Now, Danny, this is not only an Austin problem. This is a problem that can be replicated hundreds of times throughout the entire country. So
Yes.
First of all, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for working with 350, which means you have national reach, which is very important in this case. So again, Danny Fetonte, what I call much more than an environmentalist, former union guy, and everything else. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Thank you, Egberto.
I love that guy. Let me tell you something, man. He has, there are a lot of people that speak environmental language. He actually acts out his environmental language, and he goes ahead and he continues to push and push and push. Some people may think he's brash. I said, I want him on my side, damn it. I want him on my side. Anyhow, folks, we're going to continue with the show. Let me go ahead and call out my great people out there right now. Let's get to the top of the screen. Julie Van Osdel, welcome aboard. Hi, Egberto Bridge, MCP, all. Beautiful day in Lakeville, Minnesota. Paul Fleming from ATL checked in early today. Paul, love you, brother. Bridge MCP, Biden might have called out scientists, but his fall will be the news. I bet it's not necessarily, they may touch on it a bit, but I think they're going to have to be careful with ageism and how it looks. Bridge MCP, or rather Eric Hayes says, hi all, see how the bond issue locally are checking out. I want to touch on the bond issue a bit because, we go back and forth with the bond issue, right? I am for bond, no bond. In other words, nobody should have to pay bond to stay out of jail because it makes it, if I can afford it, I can commit a heinous crime and still get out on bond. I think bond is something that should be determined by a judge, and all bonds should be, I think, recognizant bonds. In my humble opinion, all bonds should be recognizance bond. If somebody is proven to be seems to be violent, and they'll hurt somebody, I say err on the side of protecting the community, whether they're rich or poor. As we have right now, a rich person, no matter what, can get out of jail. A poor person cannot. But hell, a powerful drug dealer is also rich, and he can get out as well. So let's just take, if we take away the ideology of criminal justice and all of that kind of false ideology out of it and really talk about, or rather law and order, and really talk about criminal justice, we wouldn't have a problem, my brother Eric Hayes. Jessica Taylor, welcome aboard. Thank you for being here. Eric Hayes, CDC is always being clarified due to changing the expectation all the times. That's not a fair statement. That's a statement that says, I don't understand how science come up to information. So what I'm saying, I hope that you'll get here, Eric, because, by the way, I have a lot of respect for you for being here every day. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love to have, I don't like to only talk to the choir of progressives. So I really appreciate your presence here, Eric Hayes, among all my other conservatives that come and stay with the show. I try to be respectful to you, expect the same out of you. Now, that said, it is important that I tell you what the right wing does on Fox News or whatever is when Fauci makes a change to something that he said before, they create a statement like you said there. The CDC is always being clarified due to changing the expectation all the time. No, they clarify when the data that comes in tell us something new. We should never fear when we have new data that comes in that says, well, maybe the early data was noise or was a bit too noisy. Noisy data means we don't have enough of a sample to determine an accuracy or to have a good accuracy in the data. Tom C., greetings from Michigan. Tom C. And Bridge is from New York, of course. Curtis, mi hermano, when is the DCC going to take care of business? The DCC is now under solid management, not political management, but management under science. So all of us should feel safe now that the CDC is out there now to help us all, to give us all to give us all direction. Jessica Taylor says, big difference. The Capitol Police officers interview yesterday on CNN spoke to the contrast between insurrection versus protest. Very big difference. What we had in Washington, D.C. was a violent, inhumane, animalistic insurrection. When we had protests, 99% of the Black Lives Matter protests was peaceful. Now, a lot of people like to bring up Portland. I had people in Portland report for me. Specifically, who's my buddy? He was out there. God, I can't remember my buddy's name. That's a darn shame. Getting old. And I'm not Biden, and I'm forgetting I'm a lot younger than Biden, and I can't remember my friend's name. Bobby Rodrigo was out there doing some reporting for us. Anyway, so it's completely different. Eric Hayes says, police can't keep you protected if you let criminals out. Again, stop the right-wing points. Stay here. Stay with us. Stay with us. Linda E., welcome aboard. Thank you for being here. Let's see who else is here. Para ver quién más está aquí. I'm coming in. Patty. Thank you, Patty, for being our new posse member. Folks, just go to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube or click on the join button so that you can join it as well. The purple t-shirt. Hey, by the way, Bridge, do you like the purple t-shirt or not? I'm curious. Okay, still scrolling down, trying to find new people. And I'm scrolling. Michael Rudnin, I think I got you already, but in case I didn't, I just called you out. Michael says, I often say that regulations are primarily about preventing corporations from gouging their clients and heavily polluting the environment. This is a case in point. Perfecto Mundo, you got it on the nail. Feliz Lucky, welcome aboard. I don't think I've seen you here before, but if you have, sorry. Okay, continuing down, we have, let's see. Linda E. says, hydro is clean but not perfect. We voted to take out the deals. Well, yeah, hydro is great, except for, when it stops fish from spawning. Now they have ways that they can allow the fish to still spawn, go up the river with these ladders that come down, bring a constant flow, and the fish knows how to go up the ladder. So, we try to live in symbiotic relationship with the environment. But I personally like dams in Panama. That's where we get a lot of electricity. We have 4 major dams in Panama. The two on the Chagres River, the Bayano, and I don't remember the name of the other one. Carl Cox, corruption, plain and simple. Yes, money, bribes, corruption, control America. Yeah, and we like to put down other countries. Charlie Lindahl, just listening so far from Houston. Charlie, how you doing? Charlie is a wonderful environmentalist. He's a wonderful guy who continues to get people involved. I mean, involved in technology. Thank you for all the work that you do, Charlie. Let's see. Errol Rain. I actually didn't understand that statement. What do you mean by changing from criminal justice? I said it wrong. Thank you for slapping me back on that one, Earl. I wanted to say to stop talking about law and order and start talking about criminal justice. When you talk about criminal justice, you talk about executing the law in a just manner. When you just talk about law and order, it is what Republican leadership are very good at, and that is just putting people away without looking at socioeconomic conditions, without looking at the genesis of the problem. That sort of thing is what I meant when I was talking about, criminal justice. I shouldn't have said criminal justice in that context. I should have said moving from law and order to criminal justice. There's a very distinct difference. Julie Van Ostel, welcome aboard. Just listening as well. I really wish I could send pics of the 2 fab dishes I put together during the stream. Reuben sliders for dinner, and you could have just emailed it to me or send it on the page, upload it to the page. I'll put it on the screen. In fact, if you do it, just let me know you did it, and I'll go find it. Well, it's too late right now, but let's do it on Monday, my dear beautiful ladies. All right, Julie, let's see. Bridge MCP says, let's see what else is here. I messed up on that one. Purple Rocks. Thank you, brother. I'm glad. This is the first time I think I'm wearing a purple one on the show. Let's see who else is here. Michael said, Eric Hayes, get rid of the bond bill. Look, Eric is one of us now, Michael. Eric is a part of the family. Eric is, and he's not even the prodigal son. We leave that to Lee Grant. Lee Grant is our prodigal son. Love Lee Grant. Okay, AVQ. Let's see what else is here. Linda E. Algae blooms too. Actually, algae is a great thing for creating oil. And that oil can be burned like regular petroleum, but it is considered green because it's recyclable, right? You grow the algae pull the carbon out of the air, you burn the oil that's created from the algae, it throws the carbon back into the air, and then you pull it back out again with the algae. That's a cycle that is sustainable. When you burn fossil fuel, you're burning all the absorbed carbon from millions of years ago, and you're throwing it back into the air, and it takes millions of years again to create that cycle. Hi Coop 333 just dropped in and found you live. Thank you for being here. Hi Coop 33 or 333. Okay, British MCV, thank you. It's been 60 and hopefully one step closer to getting vaccinated. Thank you. I got my 2 of them, but I had an issue. Earl Rain says, not a slap back. I really didn't understand. Thanks for explaining. Hey man, that's what we're here for, brother. And by the way, when I call it slap back, I'm not trying to really beat up on myself, but if I'm not making something clear, I love what you did. You're like, hey, what the hell were you talking about, man? Because that is how we get stuff going. That is how we get things done. Thank you, brother. Let's see. Breach MCP says, good for you, Julie Van Ostel, the big 6-0. Michael Ronan says, Egberto, I'd appreciate if you'd actually read out that comment. Get rid of bond bail. There should be only 3 criteria for whether a suspect is held before trial. They're a flight risk. They're a threat to the community. They're involved in ongoing criminal enterprise. They're in. I read your comment, Michael Rodnin, my brother. And I think those 3 statements are very important. You're absolutely right about that. Let's see who else is here. Linda E. I get my second Moderna shot next Wednesday. Congratulaciones. And Eric tells me, come on, man. Eric. We got to get some coffee, brother. I got to get out of here. Folks, please remember that book on the screen. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors. You see, I'm talking to my neighbor, Eric Hayes. He's on. Well, he's somewhere close around here. And I talk to him very well. We get along. There is the book. Please go ahead and get it at Amazon. If you want to cut out the middleman, get it at our store. Please do. politicsandright.com/store. Support us on Patreon. politicsandright.com/Patreon. I'd like to get to, hey, why don't you guys try to get me to 150 patrons this weekend? Can you? Anybody can? I think I'm at 140. Can I get 10 patrons? And can I get 10 patrons and 10 YouTubers? Here, how do we get your YouTubers? Either click the join button or go ahead and click politicsandright.com/YouTube. If you have friends, tell them, hey, support a progressive show that gives just the truth, nothing but the truth. Go to politicsandright.com/YouTube. And of course, you can support us at PayPal, politicsandright.com/PayPal. Folks, thank you so kindly for being here. I know there are many other places that you could be, but you're here with me. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage politics done right.